Hello biologists, I'm Dr. Kimo Morris at Santa Ana College, and today I will be walking you through the external and internal anatomy of the spiny dogfish.
We're now going to cover the circulatory system only in general. If you wish to know more about the circulatory system of sharks, I highly suggest that you take an ichthyology course at a reputable university. This is just going to be the general circulatory system, focusing on the region near the gill chambers. So here are the gill openings on the side. There are 5 on one side, 5 on the other side. And what I've done is I've created a cut across and up over so that I can pull this whole part away. And by cutting it in such a way, it allows us to see a few things a little bit more clearly. This area here is referred to as the pericardial cavity. And this cavity here is actually separate from the body cavity down in the posterior direction. And it's walled off from the body cavity by a transverse septum, which you can just kind of see here. In removing this portion of the animal, I kind of cut through it, but I'm going to move the heart up here a little bit so you can see the transverse septum. That actually is part of the transverse septum, and it runs all the way down along here and essentially blocks off this whole area and keeps it separate. By having this area separate between the gills, the heart is able to pump much more efficiently. It can create an enclosed area here so that blood pressure can force blood through to the rest of the organism. And here's a close-up of the gills, a cutaway of the gills. If I kind of spread this out a little bit, you can see the lamellae of the gills. They're kind of colored in red there from the latex stain. And the water comes in through the spiracles right behind the eye here into the gill chamber across all of these lamellae, and oxygen is pulled from the water and CO2 is essentially off-gassed from the blood, and then it enters into the circulatory system. This here is the two-chambered heart of the shark. It is a similar setup to that in all other fishes. So it gives us a nice general model of a two-chambered heart in fishes. But the common atrium is actually behind here. You can see it in two essentially sections. So there's one side of it and there's the other side of it there. That's the common atrium. And this part in the front here is the ventricle. And the ventricle is much more muscular than either side of the atrium. And here is the aorta, which delivers the blood to the entire organism. As large as this might seem, it's much smaller than what you might expect in other vertebrates, particularly land-based vertebrates that are having to pump blood under much higher pressure because the organism is essentially living in air, which is 800 times less dense than seawater. So if you're living in the ocean, a two-chambered heart is sufficient for delivering blood to the rest of your body.